Well, welcome to another episode of Win TV, weekly news broadcast. We're bringing you news that matters, and I'm your host, Denise Rollard Barnes, publisher of the Washington Informer. If you're watching on Facebook, go ahead and hit share, and so your friends can see the broadcast. And if you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us. And if you're a TikTok follower, you can follow us there as well. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Washington Informer TV. I hope you've picked up this issue of the Washington Informer. You can also read us online at www.washingtoninformer.com. Before we go on with the show, I must say, you all have heard the news. It's just been unbelievable. The Omicron variant of COVID is wreaking havoc throughout the United States. And if you're vaccinated, I'm hearing that, if you happen to contract Omicron, it's like having a cold for those who are vaccinated, I hear. And that sometimes, there may be flu-like symptoms. But either way, some unvaccinated people are still dying from COVID. And so we implore you, we ask you, we beg you, please wear your mask. We had Dr. V tell us last week that the KN95 masks are the best mask and the N95 masks. And she said that they just happen to be more effective. And we're hearing that as well from medical experts all across the country. So we ask you to go ahead and find a KN95 mask or an N95 mask, wear it, wash your hands, and practice social distancing. That is our message today. It will be our message until we kick this COVID away. This weekend, also, I want to say, of course, marks several days of commemoration as we head into the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. holiday on Monday, January the 17th. And despite COVID, we have many events planned again this year to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Yes, we have been admonished by individuals like Dr. Reed Tuckson with Blacks Against COVID, who have just told us we need to take extra precautions as we invite folks all across the District of Columbia and elsewhere to join us in these activities. And so we are prepared to make sure, and you'll hear more about that later in the show, to have these masks available for all of our participants, to do testing, and in some cases to also offer vaccines. So I want to get that out, make that clear, and we'll continue to repeat that because today we're going to talk about the events and the people who are involved in those events to make sure that we have an observation of Dr. King and his life and legacy and the work that has been left for us to do as we go into this observance on January 17th. So our senior writer, Stacey Brown, who reported on the King family's desire, and they've asked folks all over the country to curb the celebrations until federal lawmakers pass voting rights, the bills that are now in the U.S. Senate, and what the folks over there are doing to just hold up these voting rights bills and the King family. And I want to give a shout out, which I wish I could do more, to Joe Madison, because radio personality Joe Madison, as you all know, has been on an extended fast and plans to continue to do so until the bill is passed. And I understand that there are other people in national organizations and local groups who are also joining him in that fast. And so this is serious business for not just Black Americans, but for all people who believe in the democratic process. The 16th annual Peace Walk will normally is a parade, but that won't take place this year. But we will have guests on. We'll talk about the activities that are planned, as I said, for Monday, and how we can make it a great observance of the day, and how we're going to keep it safe. The weekend will kick off with a prayer breakfast, which will take place tomorrow on Saturday, January 15th, the actual birthday of Dr. King. And so we'll talk to Reverend Wanda Thompson about that. And we're also going to talk about an essay contest where we will be honoring on Sunday or the committee will be honoring on Sunday the elementary, middle, and high school students who won that essay contest. So we're excited to have them with us. And we want you to make sure you can register for the prayer breakfast and support our students by registering to view and observe the essay contest. And we'll be giving details on how you can do that throughout the program. We are also joining us today will be Stuart Anderson, and he is the co-host of the MLK holiday events, and we just happened to work together on this, and we've been doing this for several years. This started, and we'll talk a little bit about that as it launched. We got involved several years ago, 16 years ago, and I want to pay tribute to Keith Silver and Yango Sawyer, who were the two individuals who also helped to make sure that we resurrected this celebration that's been taking place in this community in Southeast DC in Ward 8 for about 40 years. And so we'll talk to them. We're also will be hearing from, again, as I said, Reverend Wanda Thompson about the prayer breakfast. We're going to talk to Wendell Wren, who will talk to us about the Health and Wellness Fair. Kimmy Hughes will be with us from the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute. And we'll have a conversation about the essay contest and the, I think, fantastic participation of the young people who wrote essays about our theme, which we'll share with you in a little bit. And again, we look forward to talking to Stacey Brown, who not only has been following the story on voting rights, but who conducted an interview yesterday with Cedric Richmond, senior advisor to President Biden and former U.S. representative for Louisiana's 2nd Congressional District. And Stacey's going to update us on what that's all about and what those conversations led to. And just, again, Dr. King's holiday is not just a time to sit back and think about what he said and what he did. It's a time for us to take action. And so Stacey will share with us what Cedric Richmond and some of the other leaders in Congress, so we as voters need to do to make sure that we keep the work of Dr. King alive. And again, lastly, as we focus on health and wellness this year, and that's very important, we are looking forward to having Kendra Blacketti-Dibinga, Chief Visionary Officer for Bikram Yoga+Wellness, who will talk to us about the benefits of Bikram Yoga. Don't know what it is? Stay tuned. Kendra's got something for you. So before we talk to our first guest, let's look at this week's news broadcast from our journalist, Curtis Knowles.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. On Sunday, an apartment building in the Bronx, New York caught fire, where 17 people unfortunately lost their lives. Fire officials say the fire was started by a space heater that had been running for several days in the bedroom of a third-floor apartment. Two of the tenants who survived the blaze filed a lawsuit on Monday against the building's owners, arguing that the self-closing doors in the building malfunctioned. The lawyer of the two, Robert Valinsky, commented, saying, had the landlord and city done the things that they are required to do, 17 people would be alive and scores of others would be unharmed. The men responsible for the murder of Ahmaud Arbery have finally received their sentencing. Gregory McMichael and his son Travis McMichael have been handed life sentences with no possibility of parole. Their accomplice, William Bryan, also received a life sentence on Friday, but will have a chance for parole after 30 years. The judge of the case, Timothy Walmsley, said, "Today demonstrates that everybody is accountable to the rule of law, and that taking the law into your own hands is a dangerous endeavor." The late author and noted civil rights leader Maya Angelou has become the first African-American woman to be featured on the U.S. Quarter. The Treasury Department said that the Angelou coin is the first in a series designed to celebrate the accomplishments of American women. The U.S. Mint said in a statement that the images are inspired by her poetry and symbolic of the way that she lived. The coin began shipping on Monday. Maryland Governor Larry Hogan has emphasized his support for law enforcement on several occasions. And on Monday, January 10th, the Republican governor announced his Refund the Police initiative, which calls for the legislature to fund $500 million to the police over a 3-year period. The funding will include $200 million in terms of salaries and bonuses, $130 million in state aid for local jurisdictions, and $50 million in terms of capital improvements for state police barracks. Delegate Gabriel Acero of Montgomery County called the governor's law enforcement funding initiative disappointing and angering, saying that the budget surplus should go towards better things in the community. This is Curtis Knowles with WIN TV News.
Thank you, Curtis, and thank you for those updates. We're going to turn now to our show, and first, I am honored to bring on an interview that I had a little bit earlier this week with Reverend Wanda Thompson, who's sharing with us what we hope you all enjoy tomorrow as we begin to our Martin Luther King holiday celebration. And so we're going to see what this prayer breakfast has in store. Thank you for joining us, Reverend Thompson. I know that you've been busy pulling all the last minute details together for the 4th annual MLK prayer breakfast. Give us some details, though. When will it take place?
It's going to be this Saturday. And first of all, thank you for having me. It's going to be this Saturday, the 15th, from 10 to 12:30. It's a virtual affair. And our theme this year is Change Happens with Good Hope and a Dream. And people, if you're interested in joining us, can go to the website, mlkholidaydc.org, where you'll see a list of events, and included among those is the prayer breakfast. And so we're encouraging people to come out. We've got a wonderful event planned. It's very inclusive. It has a lot of things to offer, and we just want people to come out and enjoy it and honor the legacy of Dr. King.
So again, when you talk about come out, at least we know the prayer breakfast will be virtual, so they can come out of their bedrooms and onto that dining room table and enjoy breakfast and enjoy the messages from that day. Can you tell us what folks can look forward to at the prayer breakfast?
Well, I think that they can look forward, as I mentioned, to an inclusive event. We're going to have certainly we're going to have greetings coming from several of our officials in the city. And then we're going to have a praise dance. We're going to have our youth mayors to come out to talk to us about the occasion. We're going to have some vocal presentations by young people who are going to be doing some of the speeches that Dr. King had. And then certainly we're also going to have selections as well too. And we'll have a guest message coming to us from Reverend Tyrell Holcomb, and we're really looking forward to that. And also we want to honor some of the people in our community who have recently passed.
Sounds like quite a full breakfast or program. And the thing I like about it, Reverend Thompson, is that when you pull these programs together, even though they're virtual, but in the in-person programs, of course, the food has always been great when it's been in person. But even with the virtual programs, you still include praise dancing, you still include, sort of the entertainment aspects of that as well. And so I guess you'll be doing the same thing this year.
Yes, and I think what the prayer breakfast allows us to do is to show the creative expression that people have when they are honoring Dr. King. And so, as I said, we'll have people who are of different faiths. We'll have young and old. We'll have music. We'll have dance. We'll have the spoken word. So it just entails a lot. And of course, we'll have prayer. It's a prayer breakfast, and that will be multicultural. So we're just looking forward to a really good time. We want people to join us again from 10 to 12:30. And you can just log on, and it's going to be on different platforms. But you can go to the MLKHolidayDC.org website, and that will show you how to register.
You have been instrumental. I know this is a little off topic, but I think it's important. But you've been instrumental in helping the MLK DC committee to come up with a theme every year. It's kind of your wordsmithing that helps us to get that theme just right. And so this year, Change Happens with Good Hope and a Dream. Can you tell us, what that means to you?
Okay, sure. Well, I think that, again, when we're thinking about Dr. King and we're thinking about things that he embodies, the dream, the hope, and as we have our peace walk, and in the past when we've had the MLK parade, we've had people marching down MLK Avenue, and that just reminds us of the I Have a Dream speech. And so we realized that Dr. King did have a dream, and this year, the Peace Walk will be intersecting with Good Hope Road. And in a tribute to Good Hope Road as well, too, we wanted to include good hope and a dream, and that intersection. So we're in a time now where we really do need to really focus on change, to really promote a lot of the things that will bring about positive change in our community. And so how better to do that than to call on the legacy of Dr. King. And so it's change happens with good hope and a dream. So that's why we're looking forward to that. And we do believe that it's something that our young people can embrace too. And as part of what they'll be doing this year and other aspects of it, they'll be doing essays having to do with elements of change in society as well too.
Yeah, that's great. We're going to be talking to Kimberly Hughes about, the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute and their essay contest, which had tremendous participation, as always. And so I want to thank you, Reverend Thompson, for being with us. Thank you. Thank you for volunteering. It's been like the third or fourth year in a row you've done this to make sure that this prayer breakfast happens. And, just thank all of the people that have worked with you. And we look forward to seeing a great program tomorrow.
All right. Thank you. And thank you for having me.
All righty. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. So we really appreciate Reverend Wanda Thompson. She's the pastor of Ambassador Baptist Church in Washington, D.C. On Minnesota Avenue in Southeast D.C. for hosting this prayer breakfast with us again this year. And I am hoping that before this program is over, we can tell you all how to get to it. But of course, we want you to visit www.mlkholidaydc.org. That's mlkholidaydc.org. Tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock, jump on. You're going to have a great, great program. And we can't serve you breakfast, but we hope you can enjoy eating breakfast while you're watching our program. I want to jump now to Stacy Brown. And Stacy, who has actually, as we talked about, the stories he's been covering, why we're even having this observance this year, the focus of the observance, and what you've been seeing, Stacy, as you cover national issues that really do impact the messaging about this holiday. Welcome to WIN TV.
Thanks, Denise, for having me.
So yeah, I mean, let's start with the Senate bill, and also I want to talk a little bit about the Supreme Court's decision yesterday. If you can update us on what the the Supreme Court decision had to do with COVID, so we won't go there. But what the Senate has decided to do as it relates to the two voting rights bills that are waiting and languishing currently.
Yeah, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. Why is it so crucial, right? It's crucial, Denise, let's start there, because not only does, as people know, that in many Republican-led states, they've now passed voter suppression laws, laws that will make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for people of color in particular to vote. And in addition to that, here's the other part of that doesn't get a lot of attention. Those laws, particularly in Texas and Georgia, they come with this caveat that not only does it restrict a lot of people from voting, but it also dictates who gets to count the vote after the ballots are cast. And keep that in mind, because if you remember in 2020, of course, the big lie, Donald Trump said it was stolen from him. Imagine had those laws been in place, he would still be president because he would have gotten to choose who gets to count the vote. And so, so this is what's happening with those laws. Those laws include that. So it makes it vital that federal legislation is passed to blunt those state and local laws that have cropped up since the 2020 election. So the president, the vice president, and the entire administration has been pushing. Certainly over the past week, they've given, the president and the vice president's given two big speeches. In fact, some called the president's speech the most forceful he's given. The White House described the speech as forceful. I spoke with Cedric Richmond yesterday, the senior advisor to the president. And one of the things that he said, it was really interesting. Obviously, he really went after Trump and the Republicans. But he said this too. He said the filibuster rules, because the idea of having to get around the filibuster or even abolish it has really been a hot topic. But he said those rules shouldn't trump the Constitution. He said the rules are a means to an end. The end here is voting rights and free and fair elections. And all that is true. However, we saw that, again, that two Democratic senators, Senator Christian Sinema of Arizona, and of course, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, blocked passage of any type of legislation to get around the filibuster to pass voting rights, although they claim to be for voting rights, which is really interesting, because you can't claim to be for voting rights when you know that all of this is happening, and then you have the deciding votes to stop it, and you decide to say, hey, as a footnote, CNN they actually labeled Sinema on their scroll as the Republican from Arizona. And look, it's apropos. And what they did yesterday, Denise, you have probably never seen Republicans, we probably have never seen done to a president by members of his own party before. The president had scheduled a meeting with Senate Democrats yesterday on the Hill, and to talk about the filibuster, to talk about the voting rights. And before the president arrived on Capitol Hill yesterday, Sinema and Manchin, the two renegade Democrats who have blocked the Build Back Better and certainly is blocking the voting rights passage, they took to the Senate floor in front of a gaggle of Republicans and declared that they were not going to change their stance. And that's so disrespectful on every level, knowing that the president, your president, the one that he's the leader of your party, and you couldn't at least give him a hearing ear before you went public with Republicans to say you're not going to support it. That was the height of embarrassment. And it's partly why President Biden's approval ratings are Trump-like right now.
Stacey, the other thing, we have these thoughts, we hear these reports, and we think about the impact on us as Americans and as American voters, and when we think about voting rights, I mean, some folks have said this is not really high on the radar as far as issues are concerned in this country, and maybe even not even here in the District of Columbia for some unknown reason. But when I think about the fact that if the District of Columbia had statehood, what influence we would have right now in that Senate. And this is a primary example of why, when we're talking about voting rights, that statehood for the District of Columbia needs to be incorporated in that conversation, because like those two senators, Democrats, who have their foot at the door, keeping it closed on voting rights, having two others from the District of Columbia, and now if it hasn't been clear before, it should be very clear right now why we keep being denied that opportunity. Because well, I'll let you. I'm getting ready to. Well, let you explain what this means.
Yeah, what you're saying is, I mean, is spot on, because every major issue that really, when you boil it down, statehood affects everyone, but it affects African Americans. Voting rights affects everyone, but it really affects African Americans. So every issue that's important to African Americans gets put on the back burner for some reason, right? We've seen it throughout history, and now we're seeing this here. There is no reason, if you are a voter, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or whatever, even if you're not, I cover politics, I'm not a political person. But so even taking myself out of the equation and looking at it from the outside, that is something that affects so many other things that they're trying. Statehood, right? So for anyone, whether you're some Sinema, whether you're Manchin, whether you're Republicans, because I don't think the Republicans are truly against voting rights. I think you have a faction that is, because they know that it benefits their party. But I think that once you have something that is such an issue, Ice Cube, was attacked viciously. The actor and rapper Ice Cube last year, 2020, when he gave Trump an audience and presented what he said was a contract for Black America. Well, you know what? I encourage people to revisit that contract, as particularly Black voters, because what he said has all come to fruition, right? We are seeing now, one of the things Cedric Richmond said yesterday was that you're now seeing the weight, the force, anyway, the power of the presidency at work. Well, as he said that, we saw voting rights and everything else go down to 2. And they have the intentions, right? There's no question that the Biden administration has every intentions on fixing a lot of what ails America, which is race, right? He's done some amazing things with executive orders and other things. The bipartisan infrastructure bill is going to benefit Black America just as much as anybody else, right? So he's done some amazing things. There are women in the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. They're leading that. There are a lot of appointments, Black women judges, I should say, Black women appointees, things that we haven't seen before. But again, it's almost like you're having a huge dinner, and here the collard greens and the black eyed peas, and then here comes the rice and the cornbread and the sweet potato pie. But there's no meat. There's no main course. They refuse to give us Black folks the main course, regardless of party.
Yeah, and that's historic, Stacey, and one who really could care less about the meat. I mean, I don't mean to go there with you, but but that's how we survived in this country. We have recognized the fact that whatever we got, we had to work with, and we had to fight to maintain what we did have, and hopefully, try to get make sure that those who wanted more had opportunities. That's what we're talking about, opportunities.
Opportunity.
Yeah. Right.
Black people have never, in general, as a whole, Black people have never asked for handouts. They just wanted, when they stepped on the playing field, they just wanted to make sure that the mound was 60 feet, 6 inches away, like everybody else. They wanted to make sure that if they hit the ball 400 feet, it was a home run like everyone else. They wanted a level playing field. And as a whole today, we've seen, you've got some great young reporters. Sam Collins comes to mind. We see where folks like Sam Collins come. They just want it straight, no chases. Just give it to us the right way, right? And so it's not about wanting something that we don't deserve or we shouldn't have. And so in the case of what's going on Capitol Hill with the Senate, it's always a scapegoat. And now, Biden, not Biden, but Manchin has made it clear that, my tag says Democrat, but I'm going along with the Republicans. Same thing with Sinema. And we made a big to-do a year ago in January when Ossoff and Warnock won in Georgia. It was a huge thing, right? Because Democrats now control the Senate. Well, guess what? Democrats do not control the Senate. And when the midterms come, and here's what's so dangerous. And
I need to ask a question too, Stacey. Right. Definitely, they will be. And I need to ask quickly, Stacey, before we sign off. I want to tie that to Martin III and his wife and daughter, and what they're asking Americans across the country to do to focus this January 17 holiday on voting rights. Right now, the prediction doesn't look good for those two pieces of legislation. Where do we go from here?
Well, like you said, the King family, who, let's face it, they haven't always been united either since the death of Dr. King and Coretta Scott King, right? But they have come together on this issue, and they are spot on this issue, right? That's their part of their dad's legacy, voting rights. And so they're saying, look, this is no time to celebrate. There's nothing to celebrate unless we get this passed. And so now what they're doing, what is it? Joe Madison is doing, folks are going to have to figure this out And unfortunately, they're going to have to figure it out without a politician, without a president or a senator or a congressperson being at the helm of what they do. Look, Black people are the most resilient people ever created. And so that resilience and then resolve that Black people are born with, is particularly Black women, are going to have to muster that up and figure this out without the aid or guidance or assistance of a politician. And that's just unfortunate, because you vote them in to do these things, but reality is reality.
It is. It is. Stacey, I want to thank you so much for joining us and putting that, in context as we look at this Martin Luther King holiday this year, 2022, and where we go from here. And thanks for explaining, kind of, for those who have not been paying attention closely, why voting rights is so critical for us right now. We appreciate all the writing you've been doing. We want folks to check you out every morning, 7:30. NMPA, Let It Be Known, fantastic show. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you, and check out Stacey Brown.
Thanks, Denise.
All right, talk to you soon. So yeah, we're going to continue with our conversation on the Martin Luther King holiday. And you're right, Stacey said we're going to do it without politicians. And even though we've gotten quite a bit of support from local elected officials here in the District of Columbia as we plan our Martin Luther King observances, we have been able to pull this together for many years on our own, a community coming together to do this. So at this point now, I'd like to bring on our next guest, and we're going to have with us Kimry Hughes with the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute, Wendell Wren, who is with so many organizations doing a lot of grassroots support, and also coordinator of the Health and Wellness Fair, and Stuart Anderson, the Batman or the Robin of the of the MLK holiday DC celebration. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All righty. Kimry,
thank you for having us.
I'm going to start with you, Kimry. First of all, I want you, if you can, just briefly tell folks what the Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute is.
Well, thank you for having us first and foremost, and I'm honored to be a part of this. So I'm a staff member of Marion Barry Youth Leadership Institute, but I also represent as a board member the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute Alumni Association. In 1979, during Marion Barry's first administration, he formed the Mayor's Youth Leadership Institute at the time. And he created the Youth Leadership Institute to give young people opportunity in leadership training and exposure to civic engagement and political empowerment. Mayor Barry felt that young people should be at the decision-making table for everything that affected their life. And so he created this program in 79. And in 79, there were about 211 young people in the program. He created it to give them leadership training, team building, civic engagement. He also wanted a youth government. And so we had a mock youth government where during that time you were elected mayor of the program and city council member of the Youth Leadership Institute. And so his idea was to get young people engaged. I came into the program in 1980. When I was a little older, when I had turned 18 by the time I joined the program, it was with 14 to 17-year-olds. I was nominated at 17. And I was out of school, so I ran for mayor of the program. And by virtue of me following Marion's schedule and being real active along with my partner, Norm Nixon Sr., people started calling me the little mayor, the junior mayor, and all of that. And so now we have the title, Youth Mayor DC. And so we've been around 42 years, and we can claim great alumni members, starting off with Chief Robert Conti, Councilmember Kenny McDuffie, Sheila Bunn in Ward 8. A number of young people have gone through this program. A lot of them are going to be a part of the holiday activities, from the prayer breakfast to the awards ceremony and youth conversation. So that's us in a nutshell. We'll be 43 years old this June, and we're looking to go another 43 years, God willing.
That's fantastic. And you all hosted for, I guess this is our third or fourth year, the essay contest. And I mean, I'm always impressed by the number of young people that actually participate. You know, there's always a debate about that. Kids don't want to write. They don't know how to write. They won't do this. You all have proven that to be a lie. And so I want to talk a little bit about the theme and the program on Sunday, and then I'll talk to Wendell and Stuart also about the other activities.
Sure. So this is actually our fifth or sixth year where the Youth Leadership Alumni Association has taken the leadership role in organizing it. And we have partnered with the Holiday Committee, the Youth Leadership Institute, Officer Youth Programs, Serve Your City. And our big partner this year is 51 for 51. This is our fifth year doing the essay contest. And we've had this year about 65 young people who actually submitted essays. We were down a little bit from last year just because of COVID and the weather, but it still was a great submission of essays. The young people are very, very thoughtful. I don't read all of the essays because I stay out of it because a lot of my youth leaders are participating, but I've heard from the judges and those that have been doing it that there's some great dynamic conversation. This year, in keeping with the overall theme of change happens with good hope in the dream. And by the way, I want to make note that the youth leaders of the Institute came up with that theme. And so,
exactly.
And keeping in the theme with that, and knowing that Dr. King's son, Martin III, wanted us to focus on voting rights, we posed the subject matter of, and the topic was, do you believe voting is an effective means for change? And so the essay was directed towards that, a lot of information about that. And so we got some great entries, and I'm looking forward to honoring these young people, one, who participated overall, two, the ones that actually have been selected by the judges as winners. And what you will find Sunday at the Essay Awards Contest, which is also not just the awards contest, immediately following the awards contest, we're going to go right ceremony. We're going to go right into a discussion about youth voting rights and empowerment. And so we're going to hear from the winners. You're going to hear eloquent speeches. We're going to even show excerpts of the young people's, some of the young people's who may not have won their some of their excerpts. But our thought was that beyond the essays, where they really laid their hearts out and their thoughts out in it, we wanted to have a conversation with our young people. So we're going to have experts around the issue of voting rights. We're going to get an update on where legislation is for the young people, where we are in terms of the attack on the vote. And more importantly, we wanted to have this opportunity so students and youth could discuss the importance of us taking the vote. And we're going to discuss issues like funding for HBCUs versus PWIs, and other student debt issues. So we're looking for a spirited celebration of the essay contestants, and then followed by a discussion led by our young people around voting rights and the struggle to maintain the right to vote and without interference.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I think it's important also, and I'll just add as I segue over to Stuart and to Wendell, the fact that these students are elementary, middle, and high school students. So it's never too early to have the conversation about voting and voting rights. Stuart Anderson, co-chair of the MLK Holiday Committee, introduced us to Wendell Wren, who is running the health fair. I want you to introduce Wendell and have Wendell to talk to us about that health fair.
Yeah, well, let me first say, Kimry, thank you, and the Mayor's Youth, Marion Barry Youth, sorry about that, Marion Barry's Youth Leadership Institute, man, you guys are the alumni and the institute, y'all are doing phenomenal work, and we really appreciate your input. Wendell Wren is a young man that I ran into who was having some problems, like many of the young men that I run into, but I saw something in him. We got to talking. He just came over. We sat down. We talked, and he was frustrated about a lot of different things. We don't need to talk about that. But we began to work together over a year ago. It's been about almost 18 months now, if not a little longer. And I've had him in different leadership positions, doing different things. And I said, so Wendell, you know what? I got something else for you. I want you to help me with the parade. He said, okay. And he'll tell you better than I can tell you what his responses are and have been. Wendell, tell him, take I guess 2 minutes and just talk about who is Wendell Wren. And then tell us about the phenomenal work that you're doing.
First and foremost, I would like to thank the Washington Informer, Mr. Nice, and Stuart Anderson for this opportunity. I am Wendell Wren, a native of Washington, D.C. I am a returning citizen, and just to have this opportunity to be able to affect change in my community is a phenomenal opportunity, and I don't take it for granted, nor do I take it lightly. On the 17th, which is Monday, for us, we were on a committee call. I got on my first call, didn't really know what to expect, and I just began to hear people calling out different ideas about what they wanted to do, because it was kind of like a melting pot, the first meeting that I went to. It was like, I was just say a potluck. Well, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And so one of the things that really made me want to be involved is that I saw, no offense, I saw a lot of seasoned individuals that were on this committee. And I'm like, they just like been doing this for a long time. It's about time to get them a little break, let them enjoy some of the festivities. Oh, she told me to take my hood off. I little mad.
I was waiting for you to say something. I'm waiting for you to say something about, Stu, my mentor. I was gonna say, and how I'm gonna be. You still got the hoodie on. Come on, go ahead, finish, man.
Please forgive the hair. I got bad hair. I apologize.
That's all right.
For that. I said I'm an advocate for mental health. One of the biggest things that started to change my life, from going downward and starting to move upward, was getting my mental health intact. And so when the opportunity arose for me to put my input, they was like, well, we already be doing a health and wellness fair. You talking about mental health? Mr. Nice was like, maybe we can get him on that. And it brought about this amazing demonstration that we're going to have on Monday. And so that's basically how it came about.
And so, Wendell, who do you plan to have out? And we know the weather's going to be a little crazy, but I know you told the volunteers last night, so what? We're going to be out there because people need the services, right? And
yes,
so,
ma'am.
Give us just a quick rundown of
so the actual event will be taking place simultaneously with the Peace Walk. The Peace Walk will be stepping off at 10 o'clock. The Health and Wellness Fair will be starting at 10 o'clock. Before I say anything further, if you would like to participate, it is a must that you register. We need you to register. You can go, Mr. Nice have already made reference to the website. You can go to www.mlkholidaydc.org. And if you scroll down, you'll see where it lists the different events. If you click on the Health and Wellness tab, there's a flyer that will pop up. If you click on the flyer, it will take you straight to the Eventbrite to register. But it will be taking place at 1412 Minnesota Avenue. If you just want an address, which is also the location of Ambassador Baptist Church, and we'll be directly across the street from there at the intersections of Minnesota Avenue and Good Hope Road at that park area right there on the corner. We have right now vendors or partners that we have participating is about 15. But specifically geared towards health. We have DC Central Kitchen, DC Health Link, Healthy DC and Me Leadership Coalition, Life Enhancement Services, and a few others. We will have COVID testing as well as a vaccination station. We will be out encouraging people to get vaccinated as well as get tested. We have entertainment. I thought it was imperative for people to know what mental health looks like on the other side. Normally, when you start talking to a therapist or a psychiatrist, the first thing us as Black and brown people, we say is, I'm not crazy, I don't need to talk to anybody, which that is the furthest thing from the truth. And so I think for us to really get a grasp on the hope that we do have as Black and brown people, we first have to get our mental health intact so that we can understand the power that we possess as an individual.
Well, no, that's fantastic. And I am so glad that we're doing this. I know that you were inspired, you said this earlier, inspired by a major employment or jobs program. And you realized, you said, I remember you saying something about, the problem with people being able to get jobs and keep jobs is a mental health problem. And that we've got to find a way to address that so that, people will know how to get back into the workforce and stay in the workforce. And
Absolutely.
Every point that you raised was just so critical.
I just to touch bases on that. I know you on a time, I can get out your way, but with that, it's like I came home and I was very employable. I am a returning citizen, and I can get a job anywhere. I can produce whatever you need produced as it pertains to work. But one of the things that I kept running into was confrontation, and so it was like confrontations are going to happen in the workplace. They're going to happen in life, but the way that I'm going about handling these confrontations is not allowing me to be successful. So something had to change, and the shift came about. I got connected with Life Enhancement Services, which will be out there to sign people up for mental health services through their insurance, DC Medicaid, whatever you have. And I go to therapy twice a week. And as I started to get serious about finding out how my diet takes a major part in my decision making and all these different things. So we have a different component. We have people that's going to talk about everything that you can think about concerning your health. On Monday, we have some great entertainment. We have live action painting that's going to be done in commemoration of Dr. Martin Luther King. It's an event that you don't want to miss. Please don't let the weather scare you from not coming out and participating. That's what it's all designed. The help is there. You just got to come get it. We're going to be out there, rain, sleet, or snow. Again, I thank you all for this wonderful opportunity. I definitely hope to be able to bring some more young people on to take some more of this heavy workload off you guys' hand. And I just want you all to continue with the work that you're doing and looking out for people like me. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Wendell. We're hoping you find those young people too, and to take it off our hands, right, Stuart?
Yes. I'm over here shaking my head and everything because that is wonderful, Wendell. I appreciate you. I appreciate that work.
So, Stuart, if we could just take a couple of minutes, because we do have another guest, and I'm glad that you're here. So we want to get them in before we end. But just talk about Monday. We will be in. We know we will be in the extended part of Ward 8 on the other side of the Anacostia River. So take it from there.
That's right. Again, let me say thank you, Wendell. Officially, man, you've done a wonderful job. You're doing a wonderful job, and we hope that you will stay with this committee beyond us. So on Monday, what happens Monday? Man, we're gonna be out. We're gonna be on the ground, just as always. Only difference is we're not having a parade. We'll have a peace walk. So we'll set up. Wendell talked about the setup down there on Minnesota Avenue. We'll have parking. We ask that people who are going to participate in the walk, park on the east side of the Anacostia River. We have parking behind the Housing Authority building. We'll have some other spaces, but you can find parking on 14th Street. We'll shuttle you from 14th, from 13th and Good Hope Road over to 1st and Potomac Avenue, where we will be doing the actual in-gathering and getting ready for the step-off. So we're asking people to come on by. We will be out there as early as 8:30, just trying to organize people, passing out PPE. If you don't have it, we're going to try to have it. We'll definitely have some masks for you. We want you to wear your mask. I think Denise talked about it at the top of the show. It is very important. It is very critical that you wear your mask. Even though we're outside, we want to do our very best during the course of this particular commemoration effort to make sure that we are staying safe and we're encouraging other people to be safe. We're going to have some marshals out there. They will be wearing orange hoodies. I ask that everybody who come pay attention and give them your utmost respect and follow their lead and their orders. They're only doing that to help us stay safe. So please listen to those marshals. We will assemble on Potomac Avenue again, First and Potomac Avenue, at somewhere between 10 and 10:30. Denise will pull the trigger and I will get the announcement. We will step off. We are doing this again. We like to post people, you know, rain, sleet, hail, or snow. We're on the ground. We're going to step off. So we're going to step off and we're going to go on to the Frederick Douglass Bridge, that new bridge. We're going to walk across the bridge. There will be other marshals on that side of the bridge waving us along, showing us the direction to go around Suitland Parkway onto Howard Road. We will then proceed down Howard Road to Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. We will then go north on Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. Again, there will be marshals out there to wave us along the way. We will also have Operations Center set up there. We'll have a triage there in case something happens. We're going to have some safety people in the procession scattered about just in case something happens. If something happens and you need to go and contact somebody, go to any one of the individuals wearing the orange hoodies. Once we get to Good Hope Road, we make the right, and we are at the end of the procession right there at Good Hope and Minnesota Avenue.
So I want to let folks know that we were excited to hear that Martin Luther King III, yes, his wife and daughter will be marching with us at least at some point from kickoff. At least they'll start off with us. I know they have a press conference at 12 o'clock in another location, but they will begin that march with us, rain, snow, sleet, or hail, we heard. And so we're looking forward to them joining us and leading us in this march in honor of their father and grandfather. So, Stuart, I want to thank you so much. As we said, the information is at MLKHolidayDC.org. Please go to the website, register for the march, the prayer breakfast, the health fair, whatever it is that you want to participate in. And we hope that you will be with us either in person or virtually. Your face in the place is what we're hoping for to make this thing a great event. So I want to thank both of you all for joining us. Stay warm, get ready for Monday, and I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks, Wendell. Thanks, Stuart.
Thank you.
All righty. So we're talking about health and wellness. We got a couple minutes left, and I really wanted to spend more time with our next guest. But the time that she wants to spend with us is not really on this Win TV show, but in her studio, her Bikram Yoga studio, to kind of help us to understand when we're talking about mental health, and Kendra's talking mental health and physical health as well. Kendra, thank you so much for being with us and for introducing our viewers to Bikram Yoga.
Thank you so much. It's good to be here.
So tell us quickly what Bikram Yoga is.
Bikram Yoga is known as the original hot yoga. So it's done in a heated room, almost like a sauna-like condition of 105 degrees and 40% humidity. It is meant to detoxify the body through the skin and really loosen the body so that the body can move more freely. It is done in a 90-minute session where the teacher guides you through the particular poses. And anywhere you go, when you hear Bikram Yoga, you'll find the same class, the same sequence, even if it's taught by a different teacher.
Well, having had that wonderful experience as you with my teacher, and it's been a while since I've been there. I really do miss it. But why is Bikram maybe an important, I don't want to call it an exercise, but something to study right now? Why is it? What makes Bikram so important in this moment in time?
What I see the most is that I actually am really pleased with what's happening now, because I do feel that with COVID and what's going on with the pandemic, that a lot more people are starting to take care of their health and looking for ways to kind of create a routine. So what Bikram Yoga does is it's an opportunity to give you a routine. And so as I mentioned, every time you go to the room, you're going to find the same sequence of 26 poses that you're going to do in the same order every time. And part of the reason why we do that is because there's so much noise that we are encountering on a daily basis in our lives. We hear a lot of noise, and it's noise from the news media, noise from, our kids, noise from, the messiness in our homes, or whatever the case may be. And the ability to quiet your mind to be able to focus on a particular task at hand, I think think allows us to also take that out into the real world where we're dealing with so many different balls in the air. And I think that now is the time where people really need to find that focus, and not just focusing on their health, but being able to focus mentally so that they can stay the course, and do what needs to be done to stay in a good space mentally, I think.
And I know that you've been continuing to do, at least recently, you've been doing in-person
Yes.
classes as well as online classes.
Yes.
First of all, with the in-person classes, how are you able to keep your participants safe?
Well, people, when they come into the studio, we do require masks upon entry, and people do wear their masks throughout the common areas. We do allow them to take their mask off once they hit their mat. So once they're on their personal island for practice, they can take their mats off. We've implemented other things like temperature checks and things like that. And in our community, luckily, we're in a community of health-seeking people. So we really have had very, very good numbers in terms of no one has had to be out for extended periods of time due to COVID. The people who have had it's been pretty mild. And we do require our teachers, if they've been exposed, to quarantine until they have a negative test. And so we've been really fortunate that we have not had any serious outbreaks in our community, and that's across all of our physical studios. But we also offer the online option, right? So if people are not comfortable coming into the studio, they can stay from home and join us. And actually, we're seeing a great uptake in people really joining us online and getting the benefit of it. Now, you're not going to have the hot room, but people do heat up their bathrooms. They turn the showers on and get the steam in their bathrooms, and that's actually helping people stay fit. And I've seen so many people who have become more consistent in their practice by doing it at home, because they don't have to worry about getting in their cars and driving and finding parking and all the stress of that. And so we do have the two options that people could take advantage of.
And speaking of driving, where are your studios located? I know you're in DC.
We have a DC location in Northeast, right off of New York Avenue. And then we have one in Baltimore on Park Avenue, and then Riverdale Park near College Park, right off like the East-West Highway corridor. So, very convenient locations if you're in the DMV. Definitely, as I said, we have really good introductory offers. You can try us out for $79 for the whole month, and that's unlimited. You could take any number of classes that we offer. We offer up to 8 to 10 virtual classes daily. So there's quite a few options from 6 a.m. all the way to 7:30 p.m. So really a lot of options for people who want to explore it. If you feel uncomfortable coming into the physical studio, try a class online. You could even keep your camera off and see how that works first before you come on in.
And so, Kendra, I mean, how long? How did you become interested in yoga, particularly Bikram yoga? And also, I mean, it's a lot of Black and brown people. I don't know. I could be wrong. I might be stereotyping, but they may not really be interested in this. But what are you finding with regards to participants?
Yeah. Representation really matters. You know what I mean? I think for us in our studios, we own it with my husband and I, and we are, we're very, keen on representing. And so we're lucky to be in the DMV because we do have a whole bunch of Black and brown instructors actually that teach for us. And so I think that community of support is really important, especially when you're coming in to a space where you're not traditionally represented. When I first started yoga, I was usually the only person in the room of color. I even had a studio that I owned in Boston, and every time I would be up there, and I grew up in Boston, but every time I'll be up there in Boston, I was the only Black student in the classroom, and I owned the studio. I mean, that's to tell you that, but so down here though in the DMV, we've been very fortunate because I think because of who we are, people are now like, okay, I can come in and how our people work. It's a lot about word of mouth, and we see that people are bringing their friends, they're bringing their family, they're bringing their spouses, and we have a really, really strong community of support, and that's that's what kind of kept us actually through the pandemic. And so I'm really grateful for that. I mean, I'm grateful that to also see that we as Black and brown people can actually, find our space in the wellness space, because we're always we tend to be ignored, and I don't think we're necessarily targeted. I recently started going to get IV drip infusions. Again, like these are all wellness modalities that we can start taking advantage of, because wellness doesn't have a color, right?
Exactly.
But I do think that we have a very particular goal of making sure that people can come in and feel comfortable and feel like they have a space here, a place to come to where they can actually take care of themselves.
So we're going to put a link up, I think, of where people can find you. And we don't have what? Do we have? Where can we find you? Where can people find you?
BikramYogaWorks.com is the quickest way to get us. Of course, we're on Instagram and Facebook, Bikram Yoga Works. And so you can find our schedule online. Again, if you'd like to come in, the first class is free. So you can come on us for the first class. Again, check the schedule. We have a number of classes throughout the day. If you don't feel yoga is your thing, we have fitness classes that you can come into. They're a shorter version. They are 45 minutes or an hour long. They're still done in the hot room though. But I guarantee you'll have a great experience, and you'll find a community of support and love that will make you want to come back.
So the one thing that, if any kind of exercise I'm finding right now, whether you're not exercising at all, one of the things that we don't do enough of is drink water. Now, in order to prepare for a Bikram class, how much water should you drink before you walk through that door?
Do you see my bottle right here? I got a 1.5 essential, 1.5 liter essential water. You really need to drink. I mean, I can't give you a particular guideline. Of course, there's guidelines for people for how much per your weight. But honestly, the goal when you're coming into classes, make sure you don't feel thirsty. Right. And so if you feel thirsty, you're already at a deficit. Right. And so that's the gauge. That's the simplest gauge I tell people. Just make sure you're not thirsty. Please do not eat, oily fried foods before coming to class. You will feel incredibly uncomfortable. You can eat fruit. You can eat something very light, like a light meal that will allow you to get a little bit of energy to kind of stay through the 90 minutes. It is a lot of heat, so you will be sweating a lot. You can take your water into the room with you. We do recommend that. But again, I don't recommend coming in if you feel thirsty. You have to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. Hydration is key. And even after class, you got to hydrate more, right? You're sweating the whole time. From the moment you walk in the room, that sweat starts to drip, and you're gonna feel it. So you have to replenish the minerals that you would have lost through your sweat. So I definitely say just make sure you're not thirsty. For our classes, we do use a yoga mat, a long towel, a bath towel, if you don't have a yoga mat towel, that can contain your sweat, because you don't want to be slipping and sliding over your mat. And then in terms of comfortable clothing, just wear something that makes you feel comfortable. Usually people wear dry fit clothing. You don't want to wear heavy cotton, because it's a sauna. So no heavy cotton or no things that would cling to your body in a way that will make you have to be, messing around with your clothing throughout class. It's just distracting and will take away from your experience.
So one of the, and I could talk about this forever, but one of the things I do know about yoga is that it's a very forgiving exercise. Yes. You do what you can, and what you can take a break and check back in when you can. Yes. There's no shaming, no anything. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that before we sign off.
I think that's an important point. Yoga meets you where you are, right? And if you have never done it before, there's a place for you. If you're lifelong practitioner, you've been doing it for 20 years, there's a place for you. And that's why I love the Bikram Yoga. The series is standard, but you'll have people who are beginners and who are, more advanced and who can still benefit from it. Like I'm still doing the practice, and I'm finding new things about myself and my body and how I move and how I can move better. Every time I come into the room, even just teaching, I see how different the bodies are moving just by regular practice. And so this is something what I realized I could do for the rest of my life. It's not like running or weightlifting where I'm, you know, banging up my body or my joints, I can actually do this for the rest of my life because it's low impact. It's something that, again, as you mentioned, is very forgiving. I'm going to be able to do what I can. And if I just need to lay there that day, that's my yoga, right? It puts me in a meditative state. It's actually really hard to lay still in a class like that,
Yeah.
right? But if you're able to do that, kudos to you, because that means you are able to sit still and not worry, you know, about the noise, you know. And so I really I admire people who are able to do that. And so I encourage everyone to try it. Now's the time I feel that we need to start focusing on our health. The healthcare system is overwhelmed due to COVID. You're not necessarily going to get into see your doctor or get into the hospital or whatever the case may be. We have to start, like, these things start with you, like with yourself. How can you start looking at the things that you're doing to improve or take away from your health? And exercise is one of the key ways. And actually, there are studies that showed people who are exercising actually have, you know, better odds against COVID. And so we want to make sure that people are putting their health as a priority now and into the future.
Wonderful. Kendra, thank you so very much for joining us. Hope to see you. I haven't been there in a while, but you know, you may see me soon, and hopefully we'll see some other new faces in there from folks who had a chance to watch you today on WIN TV. We'll probably get you back at another time, and I want to thank you for spending this time with us today.
Thank you so much, Denise. Have a great one. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Thank you. Same to you. Thank you. So that brings us into another edition of WIN TV. We hope that you will join us next week, same place, same channel, same time. If you have any thoughts about topics that you would love to see us talk about here on WIN TV, you can email us at news. I'm going to use that email address, Chevy, news@washingtoninformer.com. That's news@washingtoninformer.com. So until then, we hope we see you over the weekend. If not, think about something that you can do that will improve the quality of life in your house, in your neighborhood, in your community, in the world, as we honor the life and legacy and the work of Dr. Martin Luther King. Until next week, be safe.